there are good reasons to feel that Qatar should not be involved in the negotiations, that it is not a good faith actor. But that's a matter of dispute. But I think the thing that one has to realize in looking at this deal is that Israel had two war aims and they were incompatible.
Welcome to the Debrief at the Washington Examiner. I'm Tiana Low-Desher, here today with our editor-in-chief, Hugo Gurdon. Hugo, after more than a year since Hamas's invasion of Israel started this awful war on October 7th, tons of fatalities on both sides, there's finally been a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, but it has not been spearheaded by Joe Biden.
Well, Tiana, this is an important and significant dispute between President Biden and his successor, Donald Trump, who's about to be inaugurated in just a few days' time. The deal is, as Biden said in his boastful speech on TV on Wednesday, very much the same as the one that he proposed 8 months ago in May. But then you have to ask, well, why didn't it happen in May? And the real answer to that is Donald Trump was re-elected. He threatened Hamas that all hell would break out if the hostages were not released by the time he was inaugurated. And in addition, not just Hamas feeling the pressure, but Bibi Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, feeling some pressure too. Donald Trump's envoy went and met and clearly put some pressure on Bibi Netanyahu to compromise, and compromise he did, actually very significantly, so that the deal could happen before the inauguration.
And the way he did it was almost the exact inverse of what Joe Biden has done with Israel. You know, even though Biden started off with bear-hugging Netanyahu, there was very much a rhetorical strategy in public to try and, slap on the back of the hands the way Israel's been handling the war, but in private, cede all ground. In this case, you have Trump, who is a very open proponent of the Israeli war, but according to the reports, Witkoff went to Israel and told Netanyahu, we're meeting on Saturday during Shabbat, whether you like it or not.
Right.
And explain to us just the role of the Qataris here. I know there has been some consternation among Israel's further right flank, and even some Trump supporters who are worried that Qatar has still really a seat at the negotiating table here.
Well, there's a lot of dispute about the role of Qatar. Qatar harbors Hamas terrorists, the leaders, and so it has been involved over several years, including in negotiations with Israel in their treatment of Hamas. And obviously that was one of the things that brought about a few years of kind of a holiday from history that Israel went under, where they thought that Hamas terrorists might be able to be bought off. October the 7th, 2023, obviously dispelled that illusion. But there are good reasons to feel that Qatar should not be involved in the negotiations, that it is not a good faith actor. But that's a matter of dispute. But I think the thing that one has to realize in looking at this deal is that Israel had two war aims and they were incompatible. One was that it wanted the release of the hostages. The other was that it wanted to annihilate Hamas and make sure that it could never do the same again as it did on October the 7th, 2023. Those two, as I say, were incompatible. There's no way that Hamas was going to release the hostages while Israel was destroying it. And of course, if you destroyed Hamas, the probability would be that lots more hostages would die. What has happened with this deal is that although Hamas is very seriously weakened, probably 17,500 combatants, terrorists, have been killed, and its leadership has been to great extent decapitated. Nevertheless, the deal allows Hamas, it removes Israel from Gaza. It prevents Israel, if the whole thing goes through, from controlling the border with Egypt. It is possible that Hamas terrorists will continue to have will come back and fight again. And the key, therefore, is that Donald Trump, much as he likes the deal that he made happen, has to care less about the historic deal that he will claim as his and does claim as his, and more about allowing Israel to decide whether it needs to return to war with Israel because it has to deal with Hamas again.
Because on the one hand, Trump is inheriting a situation that, thanks to Israel, not really to the Biden administration, has seen Hezbollah decimated, Hamas greatly wounded, a lot of these Iranian proxies flailing. So it puts him in a position of strength. We know he likes deals, but we also know he likes keeping people on their toes. At the same time, with Iran flailing, does that mean that they're more dangerous than ever because they have much less to lose than they did before?
No, I don't think they're more dangerous than ever, although their weakness now will doubtless encourage them to go as fast as they can towards the nuclear bomb that they have obviously been developing deceptively over the course of many years. They are on the back foot. Their proxies, Hezbollah and Hamas, are on the back foot. The Houthis are very aggressive, but that's another proxy that is making trouble for the West.
And our trade relationships.
And our trade relationships. But the arrival of Trump in office, the involvement of the Saudis, and the possibility, I would say probability, that the Saudi Arabia will join the Abraham Accords, that there will be some kind of official rapprochement with Israel, all makes things more difficult for Iran. It's an erratic regime, but it's also an intelligent regime. As evil as it is, it's not stupid. And it will act in its best interests, and that may well, I would suggest, probably mean that they will be a little more quiescent under Trump than they have been under Biden.
Well, Hugo, I have no idea what to expect in Trump Part 2, but based on the last 4 years, I think we're into a big shift of strategy.
Yes, we certainly are. I think that the Middle East knows, and the rest of the world knows, that there will be a much tougher, less appeasing president in the White House. America is going to be not just tougher, but perhaps more bloody-minded under Trump. And because it is less predictable, and that is one of Donald Trump's strengths, being less predictable, everyone will be more on their guard, which is a good thing.
To keep up with all of the chaos, please read our news and analysis at washingtonexaminer.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe here. And until then, we will see you next week.